Champions League's going to happen next week, and we want to know your predictions for the week that's going ahead and the following week, because it's going to be definitely a hard one to predict. Real Sociedad against PSG. How are you feeling, Breton?
I'm feeling I'm going to go 100% in predictions this week. So we're starting with Real Sociedad versus PSG. PSG is a 2-0 lead. Real Sociedad does not look the same as they did earlier this season, dealing with injuries. I think PSG has more than enough to make sure they don't screw things up at the Allianz. So PSG goes through.
PSG 0-0 last weekend against Monaco, though. And then Kylian Mbappe was subbed off at halftime. What did he do, Kylian Mbappe? The owner of PSG, or was the previous owner these past few years, he just goes and he watched from the stands next to his mom. His agent, too.
Yeah.
That shows the respect. The respect right now.
That is a really interesting thing to bring up. And if they were playing, you know, a PSV.
Yes.
Or others like, you know, a Porto, I'd probably be more worried for them. But Real Sociedad does not look like the same Real Sociedad we saw at the beginning of the season. But as a quick aside, and I know we wanted to run through these Champions League predictions, we've seen it in the comments. We've meant to find a way to kind of thread Stade Brest or Brest into this. And I just have to tell people, it is not normal for this club to be this high in Ligue 1. If you don't know Brest, Brest was in 14th for most of Ligue 1. They were last season. They were in a relegation fight. They eventually beat it out and they got it done. They stayed in Ligue 1 even with as many teams. What was it, like 4 teams that went down last year? 3 teams because they were restructuring. Now listen, this season they're not just in second. They're in second with daylight ahead of them and Monaco. They had another win the other day. They're 4 points ahead of Monaco in third. They're not going to catch PSG at the top. But second place is insane for this team. They are a team's team. And what's even funnier is the guy who runs them, the manager that runs them. He was essentially at BN Sports for 5+ years. His last managerial role was 13 years ago, 12 years ago. Oof. He was the Nice coach. His name is Eric Roy or Eric Waugh, 56 years old. And he had not managed anything. He was the sporting director for Watford. He was the sporting director for, oh gosh, who was it? I forget who he was the sporting director for. Yeah, and he was gone. He was literally out of sight, out of mind from the sideline for many years, and he really wasn't that good of a manager for Nice. He wasn't terrible, but right now they've got only 1 loss in their last 10 games, and they're doing it with names that are Ligue 1 vets. So you're talking like Romain Del Castillo. You're talking about, who's the other guy? Pierre-Lise Melou. These are not household names at all. They're likely also not names that are going to be snapped up. So they could actually build on this. But they're 3 big jewels that you have to remember because we are FC Wonder Kid. Lilian Brassier, who is another Stade Rennais product, who is their center back, one of the best young center backs in the league right now. And that's saying something because France is chock full of good young center backs. You have one of the best left backs, young left backs in the league. Actually, one of the best left backs in the league is Bradley Lacko, 21 years old. And then my favorite, who had 4 goals in a game, is Kamori Doumbia, who went to AFCON, was Mali's best player at AFCON, and is also one of the best players for Brest. So, had to throw it out there, give you a little bit of a fun. You know, we were all talking about Will Still last season and Stade Reims, right? This season, it's Eric Waugh and Stade Brestois. So, there you go.
Very well said. Getting that knowledge to the people that want to know about the Champions League. I like to know that. So PSG goes through against Real Sociedad. Arsenal against Porto. How are you feeling?
Arsenal will overcome at the Emirates, guys. I know how you feel, Alex. Last time this happened, believe it or not, in 2010, completely different teams. But in 2010, Porto won the game at the Dragao. And then they lost 5-0. 5-0 at the Emirates, okay? And that was back when leading Arsenal was Tomas Rosicky, when it was Andriy Arshavin, and it was Lord Nicholas Bentner up top. Do I think Arsenal will beat Porto 5-0 at the Emirates? Absolutely not. Do I think they will win and overcome I do think they'll win it over Come. I think the defense will set the way, and I think we're looking at a Kai Havertz goal to make it happen. So,
Diogo Costa masterclass against Arsenal. Come on, Porto. Now a Barca Napoli. What you feel here?
I love this game. I love this game. Napoli is not very good right now, but Kvaratskhelia is doing well. Last time, what was it? 2 years ago, I think it was Adama Traore had a 2-assist day, which like never happens. And Aubameyang was on the score sheet for Barcelona for them to get by them in the Europa League. I think Barcelona's a better team. So Barcelona's going to get through, even if they're not playing at Camp Nou. So, yeah, Barcelona will be fine. No reason to disrupt the trend. Barcelona knocks Napoli out.
The last dance of Xavi in the Champions League. Come on, Barca.
Yeah.
I also believe Barca's going through. Atletico Inter. The Inter manager that's going to be at Inter until 2027. Contract extension rumored right now. Atletico Inter, how are you feeling?
This just feels too almost good to be true for Inter. They are steamrolling everybody right now. They've got 12 wins, 1 draw in their last 13 games. And they've got Antoine Griezmann still trying to fight back to fitness for this game. So I'm not feeling too contrarian. I don't see a way, even at the Wanda Metropolitano, that they beat a really formidable squad in Inter. And Inter is one of my favorites, dark horses, I guess, to win this thing. It's weird to say a finalist is a dark horse from last season, but Inter scored 4 goals in each of their last 4. They did, and
no, they didn't. Napoli did.
They didn't. Napoli did. You're right. They were more of a dark horse last season than they are this season. But with Manchester City in the mix, you almost have to call them still a dark horse. But they have scored 4 goals in each of their last Serie A contests, and 2 of those included Atalanta and AS Roma. So they're doing something right. And Lautaro Martinez, if he was anywhere else, any other league right now, specifically if he was in England, Lautaro Martinez would be a $150 million valuation, right? I mean, it's insane. He's 25, 26 years old, and he just joined the list of only like 7 Argentinians to score 100 goals in Serie A.
True.
So,
and his 3 consecutive seasons scoring more than 20 Serie A goals. That's mad.
That's awesome.
And you said 25. Yeah. Captain Lautaro Martinez. El Toro for a reason. Dortmund PSV. PSV, they're going to remain unbeaten in the Eredivisie. They didn't lose to Feyenoord. 2-2 game. That was a madness. So, do you believe they're going to beat against Dortmund?
Listen, they had errors versus Feyenoord. They haven't looked as, like, great. In fact, my underrated center back, that center back pairing did not look so good. Now, Dortmund, I think if Dortmund wins this, and I do... If Dortmund wins this, it's because Signal Iduna throws PSV off more than it's Dortmund. Okay? True. That's what I'm saying about this. Now, Dortmund has a pretty good team, but PSV, I think this is one of the best PSV teams that they've had in a very long time. So, with that said, I want to see PSV through, but my heart tells me that Dortmund will actually get this done, even though I don't like them under.
Come on, Bakayoko, Vermaer, and Luke de Jong. I believe they can get the win, though. I
really want to see it. And Malik Tillman has looked great for them. I'm just more excited. I'm starting to bubble over in enjoyment with CONCACAF Nations League coming up. I'm more excited to see Malik Tillman, Ricardo Pepi, Serginho Dest, Johnny Cardoso for Real Betis, Christian Pulisic. I'm ready to see that. I know we're talking Champions League, but 3 American guys taking the field for PSV. That was history when that happened in that 1-1 draw versus Dortmund. Now let's see him get by Dortmund. So my heart says I want to see PSV win. My brain tells me Signal Iduna is a formidable opponent in and of itself. So there you go.
So you go with Dortmund. Okay.
I do.
Man City, Copenhagen. Man City, obviously, right, Brett?
Man City. Yeah. Make it interesting, Copenhagen.
Exactly.
Make it interesting.
Make it interesting. And the last one, Bayern against Lazio. And for me, it's mega interesting because if Bayern Munich lose to Lazio, I am sure of what I'm saying. Thomas Tuchel will be sacked. 100%. And to replace him, Xabi Alonso next season, that would be the dream scenario. But I think the best possible coach would be Arne Slot from Feyenoord. A manager that I consider very underrated and refused Tottenham last summer before they went for Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Arne Slot is not losing the Eredivisie this year. It's PSV is just something else this season. It's hard to match that form ever. But I am going to say it. Allianz Arena is formidable. Bayern is still a formidable team. They're still a better team than Lazio. And we're talking about Lazio as if they, like, steamrolled Bayern. No. Upamecano was sent off in, like, the 14th minute. And on top of that, Ciro Immobile converted a penalty for them to win. 1-0.
True.
I think both teams have terrible form right now. Both teams have terrible form right now. Lazio, they lost to Bologna, they lost to Fiorentina, they lost to AC Milan. I mean, any real European ambitions they had, they're kind of seeing dissipate away as it stands. And Bayern, obviously, they kind of stink too. They're not doing so hot, but they still have Harry Kane. And they still have Allianz Arena. And they still have Joshua Kimmich. And they still have Thomas Müller.
But they
still have Jamal Musiala.
And they still have the Bundesliga, but not for long because Bayer Leverkusen is going to win it. 10 points away now, Bayern Munich. 99 goals scored by the team of Xabi Alonso. 30 years,
crazy.
No titles. No Bundesliga title ever in their history. But guess what? Xabi Alonso ball is happening. Go Leverkusen.
It's true. Oh my gosh. And the Frimpong Grimaldo thing, I need somebody I need somebody to be a historian here. Go back and tell
goal involvements. Grimaldo has 11 goals, 11 assists. Frimpong 10 goals, 10 assists.
It's insane.
What?
Like, tell me, has there ever been a better, duo in terms of efficiency and ruthless goal scoring and setting up the table? Like, it's 10 points. And that is another reason why I do think Bayern will overcome Lazio, because I think 10 points is too much.
Well,
and I don't know what
was the Barca and Real Madrid in the past. The Marcelos, the Carvajal, and obviously the Dani Alves and Alba.
Yeah, but from sheer numbers, were they as productive? You're definitely right that they were better. But they had another goal. What was it? I know Cologne lost a man early on.
True.
So it was only a matter of time. But Grimaldo scored again today, or over the weekend, and Jeremy Frimpong scored as well. And it's like they have this little arms race between the two of them, where they just keep scoring and scoring. And in the Bundesliga alone, I think it's like almost half of the goals scored by them have had the footprint of a Jeremy Frimpong and an Alejandro Grimaldo. But I am going to say 10 points, too much to overcome for Bayern. So that is why I think all eggs are being put, or all eggs better be put in the Champions League basket. I think they've already lost the domestic front. Now they've got to go win Europe.
Interesting. Definitely interesting Champions League choices, Breton.
Yeah.
So a quick fire. I'll say the names and you just say the winner. So Real Sociedad, PSG.
PSG.
Arsenal, Porto.
Arsenal.
Barca, Napoli.
Barcelona.
Atlético, Inter.
Inter.
Dortmund, PSV.
Oh, it hurts to say. I think Dortmund will do it. Dortmund.
Come on, PSV, Man City, Kopenhagen.
Man City.
And the last one, Bayern against Lazio.
Bayern, we're also missing Real Madrid, but Real Madrid.
And Real Madrid against Leipzig. Real Madrid. Yes, that is true, Breton.
that is closer than they would like it to be.
How could I be missing when I'm wearing their jersey? Oh, my days. And I just wanted to say, Vini Jr., Vini Jr., 2 goals against Valencia. The whole stadium was against him. He puts that iconic celebration, and you got to say, he's a world-class player right now, Vinicius Jr. Vini, 250 games for Real Madrid, 10 trophies, 73 goals scored, 71 assists. And when he finishes that game, he says, I want to be one of the best ever wearing this shirt of Real Madrid. Do I believe he can become one of the best ever? I do believe, because he's got Carlo Ancelotti developing him towards becoming a Ballon d'Or player one day. And what a robbery that was. What a robbery. I have seen poor reffing sometimes in my life, but this was one of the worst decisions I've seen in my life in terms of refereeing. He should have blown the whistle before if he was going to do it. If he didn't, don't blow it. Like, what? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, listen, everyone's talking about whether it's Forest, Liverpool, or it's Real Madrid. Everyone's talking about those, while Major League Soccer started the season with what we call scabs. We call replacement refs, right? Because the referees are currently in lockout with the pro referees that essentially run them, okay? So they're in lockout with Major League Soccer, which we don't have top-tier refs right now. They're pulling them from second leagues and third leagues. And the first week went okay. Second week, not so much, sir. But anyway, that was my segue into Major League Soccer.
Major League Soccer has poor reffing? Oh my days! But Major League Soccer don't have a poor attendance. Major League Soccer, when I see games in Major League Soccer, the stadium is absolutely full.